The Midwest supporting, bruiser loving, positivity spreading, world's most dangerous podcast. Join former pro wrestler and promoter Dave Dynasty as he supports and promotes Midwest pro wrestling. Keep on growing with the Midwest Express. This is the Dave Dynasty Show.
And greetings and welcome to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am your host, Dave Dynasty. Thank you for tuning in for another episode, bringing you the best in Midwest professional wrestling. As I said, I am Dave Dynasty, a.k.a. Downtown Dave, Delicious Dave, the blind boy of Indiana, the mouth of the Midwest, Mr. Midwest, whatever else there might be out there that people like to call me. Some acceptable, some not acceptable. But hey, you can all say what you want. Isn't that correct? Yeah, again, thanks for tuning in. By whatever means you do, we do appreciate your support. We do appreciate you listening and sharing. Appreciate all the interaction we get on social media. Just a couple things we'd like to get out there. Talk about some business here real quick to top the show off. Very cool in the last week or so, we now have available for purchase official Dr. Jerry Graham Jr. shirts. That's right. These shirts, designed by a buddy of mine, Jake Capone, approved by the doctor himself, and brought to you by the Dave Dynasty Show. You can now own the shirt that is endorsed by the Midwest legend and the most highly educated man in professional wrestling, Dr. Jerry Graham Jr. He hosts the Graham's Gallery episodes that we have here on the Dave Dynasty Show every month or so. We know you enjoy those. We get great feedback on those. And again, you can buy the shirt that will help support that show, help support the good doctor. All you have to do is go to prowrestlingtees.com/the Dave Dynasty, and there the shirt will be available for you to purchase. Help support the Dave Dynasty Show, help support Graham's Gallery, or you can just go to davedynasty.com. There is a link there straight to our Pro Wrestling Tees store. But buy that shirt. It is so cool. It is a very, very awesome shirt. We know there's been a high demand for some Dr. Jerry Graham Jr. stuff, some merchandise. So there you go. You now have a shirt. Go buy it while you're at Pro Wrestling Tees. You can also pick up the Dave Dynasty Show logo shirt or the Midwest Express shirt. Whatever your flavor is, get a shirt. Buy one of each. Make Dave a happy man. That is one of the best ways to help us, help support us, bringing you the show free every episode. We have one appearance scheduled. The Dave Dynasty Show will be out there in the public where you can come and say hi. We will be, me and Ike both, will be at Heroes and Legends 11 on Saturday, October 27th in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out online, heroesandlegends.com. Or excuse me, I think it's heroesandlegendswrestling.com. But again, we will be there, have a table set up. We will be doing some recording with some different people, some different fans. Stop by and say hi. We will have all kinds of cool things there for you to check out and talk to us. You can have your picture. If you want to have your picture taken with us, you can. But we got a couple surprises that we're working on for our table. So I highly recommend the event. It's going to be a great show, great event all day long. And again, we will be there. Hey, and I just want to get a little personal plug in there. We do this every now and then because we like to spread positivity. We like to support those that are supporting us. We like to support those that are doing good work out there. So everybody go check out friend of the show, Chad French's site. It is chadsanidiot.com. He's got a lot of great local show reviews. He also talks about WWF recaps, predictions. I help do those predictions. They're always humorous because I don't really follow WWE real super closely. And besides, who can really follow WWE's booking, right? But anyway, check those out. It's a great site. Chad's a good dude. We're kind of hat brothers. Long story there, but anyway, go check out chadsanidiot.com. Follow him on Facebook where you can see all those things. Follow him on Twitter. Very cool stuff. Go support him. So we've thrown it out there for people to give us topics to talk about. Give me topics to talk about. Things you'd like to hear me discuss, things you'd like to hear me ramble on, because everybody knows I like to ramble. And one thing that's kind of been brought up a couple different times to me that I'm gonna go into is people ask me what my stance is on professional wrestling commissions and whether Indiana needs one. And here's my thought. Wrestling commissions to me are such a double-edged sword. Here's why. In a perfect vacuum sealed world, right, where there's There's no other influences. Pro wrestling commissions are great, right? In theory, okay, you don't follow me here, because the intent of the Pro Wrestling Commission should be to jurisdict and control what happens in the pro wrestling profession in that said state. So what you would get is, you wouldn't get all these backyard shows, these shows that just pop up, and you wouldn't get so many of the tax time shows that just run one or two shows and then disappear, or run really trashy shows where they advertise a lot of stuff and these wrestlers don't appear. You wouldn't get these shows that pop up where people are selling tickets and pushing these big events, and then they cancel it out a couple weeks for it, and everybody's struggling trying to get refunds. In an ideal world, a wrestling commission would help control that, would help jurisdict that, would help keep that from happening. Now, the other edge of the sword, it doesn't work that way, right? Because what happens is, you're still going to get those guys that tax time are going to dish out and get their license. They're still going to run trash shows. And it's just not going to weed it out and control it enough. So what it essentially turns into is a commission, more often than not, just kind of turns into a money grab, right? It's just a way for the state agency or state whatever to make some money, because it doesn't really control and effectively do what it should do in theory. So I am a believer in the theory of a commission. I am not a fan of how it portrays out, which means what needs to happen, in my opinion, is all those theories, all those what ifs of what would happen and what should happen. Well, I think it's the duty of those within the wrestling industry to police their own, right? It's time for those credible promotions, the guys that do have the proper insurance and do have the proper event paperwork that they need, and so on and so forth, then get quality buildings and have quality rings and do quality promotion and do it regularly, and really fight it through the ebbs and the highs and lows and the ebbs and flows, and aren't just these flash in the pan guys that, oh, it's cool to book me and my buddies on a show. It's time for those guys, the credible guys. It is time for the credible wrestlers who are really out there, really working the road, really properly trained, really investing the money in equipment and self-promotion and et cetera, and really trying to do it right. And some of them are even trying to make a career out of it, right? Because again, we've talked before, it's you can have a career, you can make a life out of this without signing some huge contract with a major promotion. It is possible, right? So it's time for those promoters, the credible promoters. It's time for the credible wrestlers, and it's time for us. Most importantly, it is time for us who are fans, and we're all fans, right? But it's time for us who go to shows, who buy merchandise, who buy DVDs, who et cetera, et cetera. It is time for us to control and say enough is enough. We don't want all the trash in this industry, in this sport that we love. We are no longer going to support those things. We're not going to buy tickets to those shows. We are going to do our research, do our homework, and look at who's credible, who deserves our support, who deserves, etc. We are going to support then the ones that deserve it, the ones that are doing it right. We're going to not support the others, and we are going to hope that with the policing that we do amongst ourselves, that the bad will weed itself out. Because if we're not supporting, right, eventually the tax money runs out, right? These guys run one or two shows and they disappear. You're never going to be completely done with it. There's always going to be those guys. But guys, don't be so desperate to just go to any event or just think, oh, this event's 10 minutes away. Cool, I'm going to go. Look at it a little deeper. See who's on that show. See who's running that show. See, if you look at a flyer and it really looks like something a 3-year-old thrown together, that should be a red flag of, how serious is this? Right? How legit is this? How much are these guys committed to giving me a quality product? And maybe you step away and you don't do that one, right? And you look at these other guys that are doing the work, that are making the investment, and support those guys, right? And there are plenty of groups in Indiana doing that are worth your support. There are groups that aren't that far away from you, right? That are not going to cause you to have, you're not going to have to travel hours on end. So there are still quality groups out there. So don't be so quick to just jump because something's close or because something's convenient to support that. Look at the quality. Look at what's going on. And and support those groups. And if you need help, right, look at my social media, because I'm all the time supporting and retweeting and sharing things from the quality groups that are really doing it right. And you can visit DaveDynasty.com. And at the bottom, I've got some links for some groups. That's not all of them, but it is some of the key ones that I'm supporting, right? And but just follow. I will help you, right? I will help give guidance to the groups in there in the Midwest that you should be supporting. And it's okay to say no. It's okay, guys. It's okay as a wrestler. Don't undermine yourself, right? Don't work for free. If a guy just says, hey, come work my show, and you're so desperate for bookings, man, don't do it. Don't devalue yourself, right? Don't work for a shady promoter just because you want some ring time. Work hard, put the time in, and get yourself in a valuable position. It is time for us within the wrestling industry to police ourselves. It is time for us as a wrestling industry to weed these guys out, say enough is enough. It's time for quality. It is time for us to be proud to be Midwest Pro Wrestling fans, and it is time for us to be proud of the product that we are watching, that we are supporting, that we are presenting. And there's plenty of it out there. Again, I'll help you, right? I'll help guide you. There's plenty of good dudes out there to support, right? Just watch my stuff when I'm sharing. If you need help, if you want to know where to start, there's where it is. If it looks too good to be true, sometimes it is, right? If somebody's booking this mega show and they're literally bringing in all these wrestlers and it's like a super indie show, chances are better than not. It's not gonna happen. Chances are better than not. You may not get a refund after you purchase those tickets. So just be careful. Let's do this together, right? Let's try to make Midwest professional wrestling a more positive and quality place for all. So there's my topic, or there's my opinions, on that topic that people have asked me all the time. Again, if you have a topic you'd like to hear me chat about, it could be anything. It could be an event, a person, a theme, a topic, whatever it is. As long as it's Midwest professional wrestling tied, hit me up. Hit me up on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc. You can drop me an email at dave@davedynasty.com. Maybe I will talk about your topic. But speaking of which, we have a great show here for you. My rambling's done. It's time to hear some of these other dudes. Time to hear our great guests. We have high flyer Tyler Robinson from Ohio on the show today. A great talent, a great dude. He's on the show. And we have a Whatever Happened To with an old buddy of mine I go way back with. Ike interviews him. It is Brad Lamen. He's on the show. Surely you remember Brad, right? If you don't, listen today. Maybe you will remember him then. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be there with Tyler Robinson. So stick around. You've heard him here on the Dave Dynasty Show as a guest and as host of the monthly Grams Gallery episodes. And now you can hear his stories. You can own a copy of Confessions of a Big-Time Wrestler, the audio book from Dr. Jerry Graham Jr., former multi-tag team champion in WWA and owner of Bruiser Bedlam. You can hear all of his encounters with the various wrestlers, places, and promotions he's worked as he tells about his colorful, long, and illustrious career. You can have your own copy for only $25, and that includes shipping and handling. It's very simple. Go on Facebook, look up Jerry Jaffe, Jaffe, send him a private message, and make arrangements to purchase a copy of Confessions of a Big-Time Wrestler now. You will not regret this purchase.
And welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. I'm your co-host, Ike Isaacs, and today we are joined with another fantastic talent. We have Tyler High Flyer Robinson. How are we doing today?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Oh, hanging in there, living the dream, talking to you. What else can I ask for? No, I'm kidding. But we're going to jump right into it. First question we always ask, where are you from, Tyler?
I'm from a little town, a tiny town called Quincy, Ohio. It's like between Sydney, Ohio, and Buff Mountain, close to Lima, Ohio.
All right.
So where I'm from, we don't have stoplights.
No. All right. Well, hey, nothing wrong with that. I'm from a small town, Indiana. That's where I was. Well, not where I was born. I grew up in Milan, a little small town. Get you no stoplight, just a couple stop signs. Oh, can you still hear me, Tyler?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were cutting out just for a second. It's all good. All right. Well, yeah. The next question then for you. What was your childhood like growing up in this little small town? Did you play any sports?
Yeah, I played a little bit of baseball, a little bit of basketball just one year. But I mean, it was like my dad was the T-ball. He played ball. That's just how it was. But like our family, we was a wrestling family growing up. It's like everything. I'm sure I was in a car seat watching Saturday Night's Main Event and all that. And, during the Attitude Era, we would, order a pizza and drink Mountain Dew. Then in commercial breaks, we'd run down the street to our cousin's house and be watching WCW and run back. It was like that was our childhood, wrestling was.
So then wrestling ran pretty deep then. So you were a fan from a young age. Tell us who you were a fan of when you were younger. Like, who were your favorite wrestlers?
Mine was Jake the Snake Roberts. I love Jake the Snake. Anything I could get my hands on. I mean, just the amount of time I spent thinking about that guy as a young kid was probably unhealthy. I mean, it was night and day, Jake the Snake Roberts for me. Because I started watching, because I was born in the late 80s. So it was like I watched it from as early as I can remember on, So it was like Jake the Snake was the big time for me. It was like that was everything. And then the Attitude Era come along, and I really like X-Pac because I like the 1, 2, 3 Kid.
Right.
So I really like that. And then a couple years later, I like Jeff Hardy a lot, like we all did. Right. And that was like my favorites, Jake Roberts and them. So yeah.
Right on. Well, hey, you got a little bit of a little variety there, all the way from Jake the Snake to Jeff Hardy. Not too bad, but rock on. Well, then with wrestling, obviously, like you said, you were a fan since when you were a kid. So it's like eventually you decided to take it a step. You said, "Hey, I'm going to get in the ring and I'm going to do this." But what was when's that? What happened that pushed you to do that?
Well, actually, that wasn't my original goal. My original goal was I'm a big guitar player, so I love playing guitar, and I play with a couple little small bands. We didn't really have anything major going on, but I was a hell of a guitar player. Like I could play anything, from like Leonard Skinner on, and like how other people kind of strum along the songs. I was the one picking them, so I could pick, the solos and this and that, and like I felt like I was really good, and that was my goal. But my brother was involved with like whenever he started out, he was in it for a couple of years and like knew Eric Fallon and like my buddy that came to be later, Lightning Tim Lutz and a couple of them. It was like they all knew me because I was his brother or whatever. And I remember being like 16, 17, getting in the ring with like Eric Fallon. We go through like little things and whatever and that little promotion at the fairgrounds and kind of how I got started in it. So, yeah.
Oh, right on. That's always the best way. You just get thrown in the ring a couple times, just start getting a taste of it. But tell us about your training. Obviously, you start out, you just, like you said, you just hop on the ring with some buddies and you start doing that. But when was it that you decided to get trained, and who were you trained by?
Whenever I very first started getting into wrestling, I was, of course, in there with my brother and them at the local fairgrounds, and I got to meet like Eric Fallon. I got to get in the ring with him, whatever. And eventually, later on, I think I was like 22 years old, and me and my brother decided to buy a ring, and we bought a ring and started running our own little shows out of the fairgrounds and, a couple of little towns around here and stuff like that. And we started getting the taste for it, whatever, and I ain't going to say get good at it, but we started running better shows. We started running better shows, getting like better guys that I knew from Dayton, and my brother and them knew from Dayton, and we started running really, really good shows. A couple of them, I remember it was like, man, that was better stuff than WWE at some point in time with like Eric Fallon and some of the things, And we started doing that for a couple of years. And I was really like spinning my wheels.
Yeah.
I was spinning my wheels, really not doing anything. And I remember 2 years later, I went and hooked up with Cody Hawk out of Cincinnati, Hamilton area. And I remember I went down there and hooked up with Cody Hawk. And I got lucky because one of the kids got hurt in his class, like must have busted up his knee or something like that. And I got the open spot, and I was like, and I only trained for like $20, like per session or whatever. And I spent like 5 or 6 weeks with Cody. And he hit me up, and he was like, "Hey, you want to work a Bobby Fulton show?" Absolutely, I went, and it was Demolition Axe was on the card, and then the next flyer they posted up in the locker room had Sting on it, and it was like, hey, if I do good at this show, I could be on a show with Sting, and did a good job and tore the ring down, and I went to the next show with Sting, and it was like that was it. I was Bobby ever since.
Wow. So that's a pretty good early exposure too, is when you start your training and stuff like that, and getting to go on a show with Bobby Fulton. That's pretty awesome. But
Yeah.
so let me ask you this. Obviously, you went through the training, you did all of that. You had some experience prior to the training, and actually, I've actually had the pleasure to speak with Cody Hawk a couple of times. He's a pretty cool guy. So definitely seems like you had a lot of experience leading up to you starting up in the business and getting all that going. But now that you've been in it for a minute, because it seems like you definitely have been in independent wrestling for a little bit. Right now, independent wrestling has exploded. I feel like it's insanely hot. It's on fire. What would you say is the best and worst part about being a part of this business?
I think as far as what you were saying, like independent wrestling, I think it's blowing up so much because it's like nowadays it's like you're a wrestler, want to go out. It's like there's only one place to go, and that's the WWE.
Right.
Back in the day, you used to have NWA, AWA, Georgia Championship. You used to have the World Classic down in Texas with the Von Erichs. It's like you used to have all these wrestlings everywhere. And nowadays, if you want to watch wrestling, you're watching WWE or nothing.
Right.
And nowadays, it's like these independent guys, especially with like Cody Rhodes and Young Bucks selling out that 10,000 seat arena. It's almost like a resurgence or something like that. Like people want to see something different rather than what's slammed down their throats every day with Roman Reigns and all that. It's almost like the old school or something. It's really cool.
No, absolutely. And then, what would you say is like the worst part about being in this business?
I really can't say anything bad. I love this business. I mean, it's giving me everything. Like I went from spinning my wheels, just working at the fairgrounds or the, VFW halls or this and that. And I went to working on Bobby Fulton shows to working with my heroes like Jim Cornette and Bobby Eaton, the Midnight Express. Those are my heroes, It's like not too many people get to do that. It's almost like a baseball player that would go out and get into, share the locker room with like Pete Rose or Babe Ruth
Right.
or something like that. It's like so crazy to me. It's like blows my mind just because of how big of a fan I am. You have to be a fan of it and know the history to know why these guys drew money, why these guys did what they did and they got successful and made all that money. It's like that's how you learn and to be around these guys. It's like you be around the same guys every week, the same, 50 fans at the VFW and the same guys that never left 20 miles from their home and like they're saying these things like it's the gospel. But I'm around guys like Ronnie Garvin, like Bobby Eaton, like these guys have done it, been there, I don't know. It's a different landscape nowadays, a different mindset.
No, absolutely. So, actually, I think this is the first time I ever had someone who didn't have something negative to say. So that's always great. I love keeping positivity in professional wrestling. But kind of along the same track, there's a lot of good things, a lot of bad things with wrestling. But for you, what would you say is the top highlight of your career? Because, I'm not going to lie to you. I only recently got to see you perform. Actually, I saw you perform at Bobby Fulton show last weekend. So never before had I seen you perform. So I'd be curious to hear what your top highlight has been so far.
Well, I was going to ask you, what do you think about the performance?
Well, actually, at the show, I thought it was fantastic. Obviously, it sucks that you got your head shaved, but
yeah,
it was actually a really great match. I really liked it. I thought it was an interesting twist. Honestly, I didn't even notice that he was goofing around, acting like he was being paid off and all that good stuff, which he was. So, but it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it, actually.
Yeah, he was. That old dirty, rotten, low down son of a gun. But yeah,
right.
But yeah, my highlight career of my short career, I've only been in it 4 years, as some of these guys have been in it, 30 years, 40 years, whatever. But my highlight was my second show with Sting on it, because there was legit close to 2,000 people in that building in Chillicothe at the high school auditorium with Sting in it, and Sting, passed me in the high school corridor and then made a speech and left, and I was the first match, walked out the same door, and it was like so surreal to me. And it was like that many people. It was like you went out there and like I had my leather jacket on, this and that, and I threw my fist up and the whole crowd just like, rushed. It was almost like that. You could feel the breath off of them. It was like, I couldn't believe that I was a part of something like that, So that was probably my highlight.
No, absolutely. And I'm sure you have some more here soon. I'm positive of that. You got a long career ahead of you. But so then, where all do you currently work? Obviously, I've seen that you work with Bobby Fulton. But where else do you work? Are there any places that you work regularly?
Like I'm so committed to Bobby Fulton. Like I am diehard. He's like a father figure to me. So it's like that's really the only place I work, because every place else that I go, because I work a few of them, here and there.
Right.
But it's like every other one seems like second class to Bobby's.
No, I would
like
imagine.
It's like and Bobby has hooked me up a couple times. I had like small TV taping with Eric Fallon in Toledo, Ohio.
Oh wow.
And it was like just one of like the local channels. But me and Eric, we went out there, had a knockdown, drag out fight, and Bobby set that up. And then like this past month, I went with Bobby to Georgia, where Wildfire Tommy Rich was on guard and Jack Swagger, a couple of them. And it was a pretty big arena. It was like, Bobby is giving me that doorway. Like, he is really the only guy that believes me. You know what I mean? He's the only guy that really sees that in me. So I'm really sticking with him.
No, I don't blame you. I got to meet Bobby Fulton for the first time this last weekend. We had talked to him on the show before, but yeah, he's a really, really awesome guy. He's fantastic. So I don't blame you at all. So
yeah, he's fantastic. No pun intended. He's fantastic.
Right. I wouldn't. I didn't even catch that. No pun intended. That's right. That is hilarious. Actually, I was wearing a fantastic shirt at the show. Funny enough. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's also so it's like you said, you mostly work with Bob. You've been a couple other places, but I feel like right now in professional wrestling, the Midwest specifically, I feel like we have a lot of like fantastic talent, which I'm very, very proud to be a part of the Midwest. So what is it like to represent the Midwest and be a fantastic talent for the Midwest?
It's really awesome. Like, it is really awesome because like around this area, like growing up, whenever I would talk to like my dad or my great uncles, and they would talk about the Sheik and, Flying Fred Curry, who I got to meet this past weekend and get a seminar with, he took me around the ropes and this and that. And it's like, that's all I heard whenever I was younger. It's like Flying Fred Curry and Wild Bull Curry and Pampero Firpo and the original Sheik. And it's like that whole Midwest was like, that was their territory, you know what I mean? Michigan, Ohio, this and that. And then like Vern Gagne had the Minneapolis, in Kansas City with Harley Race and all that. It's so cool to me because like I know the history of it, so it's almost cool to be like a part of it and like to meet these legends. And yeah, it's really cool.
No, absolutely. So obviously Midwest Wrestling is a host to a lot of fantastic things, fantastic wrestlers, fantastic, matches. And you kind of mentioned this earlier, and I actually want to touch on it a little more. But you recently lost a hair match, which it's fantastic that I saw one of those in person. Never in my life have I ever seen a hair match happen in person. I've only seen recordings of, back in the 70s or the 80s, these old matches. So it's fantastic that I got to see them in person. So what's it like to be in a match like that and lose a match like that? Like to get your head shaved?
Well, first of all, you don't want to lose.
Right.
Well, when you lose, when that bell rings, it's like, okay, here it comes. But I felt like I got screwed, but you can't really, dwell on sour grapes all your whole life. So I felt like whenever it happened. And I got my hair shaved off in the middle of the ring, and I just kept thinking to myself, well, it'll be cooler in the summertime when I'm out fishing, so.
Right. It's a little warmer outside, so it's not too bad, right?
Nah, it'll grow back.
Right. So, and what's it like to be in a match like that? Because obviously, it's got a very, very evident consequence. If you lose, you don't have hair. But with a match like that, I'm trying to think of the word for it. Is it weird to be in a match like that? Because usually a match is, okay, you win, you lose, or it's a title match, or there's a special stipulation like. climb a ladder or get the belt, whatever it may be. Is it weird to be in like a stipulation match like that?
It is. It is. It really is. But the bottom line is, whenever the bell rings, it's like you got one goal in mind, and that's to win.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's your hair versus hair or whatever. It's like your bottom line is to win. And, you come out of the short end of that, it's like you got to bear the consequences at the end. So
right.
That's basically what it was.
And unfortunately, you bear the consequences, but it didn't look too bad. And the referee got his head shaved, so that was a fantastic twist. Yeah. That got a pretty good pop from the crowd. So, hey, mission accomplished, right?
Right. Right.
And for people who don't know what we're talking about, basically he was in a stipulation match, and the referee was being paid off by the competitor, and unfortunately our friend Tyler had to get his head shaved, but not without a little bit of revenge, isn't that right? A little bit.
And the crowd popped big time whenever I slammed him. Whenever I body slammed him, that crowd the roof would have came off that place.
I gotta be honest with you. I think out of all the matches on the card, that one probably had the biggest pop, if not one of the biggest pops. I think Bobby Fulton's match probably had the biggest, but I would definitely say yours is one of the biggest because I remember just that deafening yell about all the people around me as soon as he hit the mat. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it was great. It made me forget about my hair.
Right. Yeah, you forgot about the hair, Rick. But so like you said, you're still pretty, you've had some experience in the business, but you're still kind of getting up there, doing the things that you do. But what are your goals for the rest of the 2018? Because we're about halfway through 2018, which is weird to think about. But what do you want to accomplish before the year's over?
2018, I really don't know. I mean, I think the summer has a lot in store. I mean, as far as Bobby Fulton shows and big time wrestling. But I think my ultimate goal after, this year and this and that, I want to do a Ring of Honor dojo and see if I got what it takes to be on, national TV. Yeah. I mean, is that everybody's goal? It should be. You know what I mean? I think that I could really hang my hat up there with like the Young Bucks and the Briscoes and this and that. And I really think I could hold my own up there with like Dalton Castle. And it's like I could take wrestling up there and, not do the 50, high spot bumpy moves, but take it back to wrestling. And like wrestling is the purest form of entertainment, So I think I really could do something up there.
Man, wouldn't a hair match with Dalton Castle be something?
That would be great. I would do that a million times over.
You're like, I don't care if I have to get my hair shaved. I'll do it.
That would be great.
Oh, but that's fantastic. That's a good goal too. You know what they say. You need to aim for. That's the ultimate goal. That's beyond a higher level. And the next step up is Ring of Honor and and TNA. Which I'm glad to hear that that's a goal for people because, quite frankly, Ring of Honor has a much better.
It really is. It really is. It really is. And you know what? I think that Ring of Honor has 100 times better TV spot than TNA does because TNA used to have Spike TV with Abyss and all that and Kurt Angle. And nowadays you can find them on 1039-1 on on like DirecTV. It's like it's not as easy to find them anymore. And a lot of times that I'll go to like sports bars, Buffalo Wings and stuff, and it'll be like the football on Sunday, and it'll be like Ring of Honor showed right before that. How many male demographics are watching that? You know what I mean? It's like they're waiting for the NFL pregame to come on, having a cookout. And it's like, man, a lot of people watch that. TNA, you kind of got to search for it, but Ring of Honor is right there in your face.
Exactly. And not to mention, like I said, Ring of Honor is a much better product, I think. Not trying to diss on other products, but comparatively, Ring of Honor has so much better stuff, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got great talent. And I think like the Briscoe brothers, like those guys should have been in WWE years ago, especially like that Jay Briscoe. He has a great promo. It's like those guys are like the tag team that should be there. And I was telling somebody earlier, I was like, well, I've seen on a podcast where Jay Briscoe said that he went to a WWE tryout, him and Mark, and Vince McMahon looked at him and said, you're not cosmetically pleasing enough to be on our TV. Well, you don't have to be cosmetically pleasing enough. Sometimes that's the way that's the way it works. Look at Harley Race. Look at, some of the old rough veterans,
I was gonna be like, have you ever looked at Kane in the face? How is he cosmetically pleasing?
Right. I just didn't understand it. I was like, man, those guys, they just got it. Like, they got that it factor to them. You know, they could do something, especially nowadays when tag teams aren't as big as they used to be. I mean, when I was growing up, it was the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, and Powers of Pain, and this and that, and the NWA with Rock and Roll and Fantastics and Midnight. It's like now you don't have those tag teams anymore. It's like, man, why would you not get those tag teams? It's like almost makes me puke.
Right. Well, and let's be honest, obviously, pardon my French, but the WWE pisses away so many talent opportunities, it's not even funny. I mean, look at Cody Rhodes. You see what he's become in the independents. I mean, literally all they had to do was work with him, and he would have been a star. But they didn't, and now look, he's doing so much better things. But
honestly, like Cody Rhodes is doing so good on the Ring of Honor, where he's a big fish in a small pond, and he's doing great with the booking because he got a lot of that from Dusty Rhodes. But WWE gave him every opportunity in the book. I mean everything. They gave him the Intercontinental Championship. They did the thing with the face mask and this and that, and then later on he went to Stardust. It's like they gave him a lot. So I don't think he can say anything bad about WWE. So.
I don't. Obviously, I think I'm gonna have to agree to disagree with you there, just because I feel like they kind of forced the Stardust gimmick on him personally. Obviously, I can't say that for 100% certainty, but I feel like that was just like, hey, your brother does this, so you do it too, type deal. But you know what?
Right, I do see that. Yeah, but yeah, they did. They gave him a lot of opportunities though.
That's true. You're right. I mean, the biggest opportunity of all is, hey, come work for WWE, right?
Right. Like, if I went and worked WWE and I got the Intercontinental Championship, I could die a happy man, period.
Right.
You know?
No,
but, yeah, I give him props. And this past week, I talked with Jim Cornette in the locker room, and he said, that's awesome. He said, that's an awesome feat to sell out that many seats in that, in that arena. You know what I mean? He said he got a lot more than just the in-ring from his dad. He got the booking, too, so. I give it to him, man. He did a great job, but he can't really knock the WWE at the same time, what they did for him, as opposed to a lot of other people, that deserve the shot, like the Briscoes. And so.
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree with you there. But kind of on the same track, we talked about kind of, not only your career, but we also talked about, kind of some of your favorites, both past and present.
Yeah.
One more thing, that we like to ask people just to kind of get to know them a little better. But what's one thing that most fans don't know about Tyler Wilson?
Oh, really? I think I'm just a really good guy. I think I'm a good baby face in the ring. I think everybody kind of relates to me a little bit. You know what I mean? Whenever a couple guys are out there and they're skivvies, and they're both handsome looking and this and that, and it's almost like it loses the effect. But if I'm out there with a big heel, it's almost like they already know as soon as the bell rings, they know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who they want to cheer for, who not. It's like nowadays it's almost gray area. So
right.
I really like. Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah, I feel like you're right. I feel like that is kind of a big gray area. I feel like everybody either A, doesn't want to pick a side, or they just want to be like the Stone Cold badass. But not everybody can be the Stone Cold badass, right?
Right. And not everybody wants to play that heel. Everybody wants to play the heel that's the badass, but nobody wants to play the heel that's, oh, please, no. Nobody wants to play that submissive thing. And that's another thing that's missing too, I think, in wrestling. It's like you have to have that cowardly kind of heel, you know what I mean? And that could almost make the baby face, get over that much more. You know what I mean? I really do. And it's like, I don't know. There's like a lost art. Something's lost. Everybody wants to be the handsome Abercrombie and Fitch model. You know what I mean? Everybody's in their skivvies. Everybody's looking all good and this and that. And Kevin Nash used to say, he's like, it's like an Abercrombie and Fitch convention now when you go in the locker room. He says back in the day, you used to have Harley Race with a ash on a cigarette this long. Hey, I told that son of a gun this and that. You know what I mean? He said it's just different, lacing up his boots. And yeah, it's just different.
I agree. And honestly, like, if you think about it, it's much harder being a good guy, I think, than it is a bad guy. So I give it credit to people who can pull off a good baby face. But, like,
Right.
I feel like if you're a heel, especially a cowardly heel, I feel like that's, like, such an easy bit to play. You know what I mean?
It is. If you're smart, you'll do it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, look at Ric Flair. I feel like he's one of the best ones. The famous, like, on his knees, time out, and then, low blow. I mean, that's iconic,
Yeah.
right?
Right. And not people do, nobody does that anymore. It's like, if you're smart, you'll do that stuff because you'll make money and not have to do a lot,
Honestly, if I obviously wouldn't wrestle. I'm not built for that. But if I were to wrestle, that's who I'd want to play. I'd want to be cowardly heel, 100%.
Right. And just like you said, it's so much harder to be a babyface. It's so much harder to get that crowd reaction from that fan that likes you. You got to have them little kids and the parents that's like, okay, this is the guy. Everyone wants to go out there and be the bad guy and cheat and this and that, and get the fans to cuss them and this and that. It's so much harder to, be a babyface and draw that sympathy from the crowd. It's like you really have to be somebody. You can't be Joe Schmo and come out that locker room and wave your fist in the air. Oh, okay, you got to go out there and own that crowd. You know what I mean? You got to go out there and be that person. Whoever you're trying to be, you got to be that person.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I mean, it takes so much more to get people to like you than it does to get people to hate you.
Right.
You're actively working not only before you get to the ring, but while you're in the ring, and then when you get out of the ring, you're like, have to make them like me the entire time.
Yep.
Whereas a bad guy can come out there and say, oh, I hate Ohio, and everyone's like, woo,
Right. Cheap heat, cheap pop, cheap everything. Yeah. You got to go out there and you have to have that connection with the crowd. It's almost like an old dial-up internet. You know what I mean? If you don't get it right away, you got to wait for the phone dial to get you. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I could really get behind this guy. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
It's like you're selling them something. You're selling them a product that they're not sure they want. So you got to make them know they want it.
Right. Yeah. It's not right off the rip, but it's close. Then people are like, okay, and after that good minute or two, they're like, okay, this is my guy.
Right. My man. But so it's been a fantastic conversation. So really kind of to wind it down, get a little more information about you. Do you have any social medias that fans can follow you at though? Keep up with Tyler, get see where you're wrestling next and all that good stuff.
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is just Facebook. Just search Tyler Robinson. I'm sure it'll come right up.
Right.
I'm sure we have a lot of mutual friends and this and that. But, yeah, I don't have any Twitter yet. So just, hook me up on Facebook and message me or whatever. And I'm sure we'll be in.
Right on. Well, you guys heard it here. It's so much easier to be a heel than a babyface. No, I'm kidding. But, you heard it here. We've got to talk to Ty a little bit today. Go check him out. Like I said, there's a lot of fantastic things he's doing. He got to work the Bobby Fulton show, and we were talking about the hair match. Hopefully they put that on video, and hopefully we can get that out to people so they can see it, because honestly, so it was a great match in general, but it was just such a fantastic, I feel like, throwback to, much simpler days where the stipulation was you lose, you get your hair cut instead of, if you go through 6 tables, you lose or something like that,
Right. Not too much gaga. It's like, it's right there in your face.
Whatever happened to you?
And we're back with Whatever Happened To, the segment where we catch up on often overlooked names from Midwest Wrestling's past. I am Mike Isaacs, and today we're chatting with Brad Lamen. How are we doing today?
Fantastic. How you doing, Ike?
Living the dream. It's Sunday. It's sunny outside. I cannot complain. Well, we're going to jump right into it. So, Brad, start off here. How did you get started in professional wrestling?
I was actually in high school in 1996. I was 16 years old. I was going to shows in Columbus, Indiana with Hoosier Pro Wrestling as a fan and really wanted to get a start. I met a guy named Roger Blade out of North Vernon, and he started me out in a school. And it was quite a weird school. We would go to this carpet factory in North Vernon, Indiana, in the basement, and take bumps on this padded carpet and practice our punches with a nail driven out of a piece of wood. And that's kind of how I got my start, starting to train in the business.
Wow.
And, I was in high school. I was a huge ECW, NWO, Raven, and Perry Saturn mark. Like, I loved the Flock, as well as my friend Rex Sharp, who is in the band The Raised Ramones, who have done multiple wrestling shows, as well as Heroes and Legends. They were actually set up, I guess, right next to, like, Scott Steiner's booth, and them playing, like, just pissed him off to all end. So, that's kind of how I got my start in there. And from going and doing my training, I had my first match with Hoosier Pro Wrestling as a manager for Dutch Mantel.
Oh.
And trying to manage Dutch Mantel is just ridiculous. I mean, I was just kind of out there and helping him do whatever he wanted to do. So that was, and it was one of those things like, man, I really should have learned more from this guy, you know, but I was so into the hardcore type of wrestling, and, you know, it's one of those moments missed, you know.
Right. So it sounds like, you know, it was a pretty smooth transition. Like you said, you're kind of in high school. You loved wrestling, so you just kind of transitioned into it. But tell us, what was your first in-ring match like? Because you said that your first match with the HPW was you managed Dutch Mantel. What was your first in-ring match? You remember that one?
Yeah, it was back in North Vernon at the National Guard Armory. It was Luscious Lonnie Lee and Roger Blade and all those guys, and Rob Raymer, one of the first guys in my flock, because, of course, I needed to establish, you know, the breed kind of thing, because I was really heavy into punk rock and the whole idea. And so we had, you know, a faction there, and out, and I did my Perry Saturn gimmick / Raven, and yeah, that was one of my first matches. But my most noted first match for me was, I think I was a senior in high school, and word had got around that I'd been training as a junior, you know, when I was 16, and people wanted to come out and see Brad Lamen sucker me off, you know, and Goldberg was really big, and they do the Goldberg chant, and a couple of my buddies were out there, and for my first match that I really have in my heart, it was they were chanting Lamen, Lamen, and I came out to Green Day, and it was a sold-out show at the National Guard Armory in Columbus, and yeah, I tried to do a shooting star press, land on my head, because I was so hyped up. I never even had done the move. I just thought I could do it, and I kind of Brock Lesnared myself, but finished the match, and yeah. So never do a move that you've never actually done in a match, I guess, is the thing that you should take home with that one.
Right. That's the moral story.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So besides, you know, but yeah, like you said, pulling a Brock Lesnar, you've mentioned a couple of, you know, great matches. I mean, like you said, that was like your first, you said, match at Heart, and that's hilarious. Lame, and I can even hear it too. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
And then you said managing for Dutch Mantel. So it looks like you had a pretty good start in the business. So when you kind of started working forward, what were some of your favorite places to work? You mentioned HBW, somewhere in North Vernon, National Guard Armory, but where were some of your favorite places to work and some of your favorite people to work with?
Well, one of I guess another highlight. You know, I know you guys have talked to Gator McAllister, and Gator and I, he booked me on this Little Sturgis bike rally, and I was to be from, I was a bad guy. I was supposed to be the heel against the Bushwhackers. And Little Sturgis bike rally, let me set this up here. There's the wrestling ring and then a cage all the way around the ring. Not because we're having a cage match, but because motorcycle guys are looped. They're sitting on their motorcycles and heavily drinking. And I'm supposed to be a heel against the Bushwhackers. And the idea was to have a Red Hook section of the Bronx. So I was going out with my New York accent and all that stuff. And I looked at one guy who was giving me all kinds of shit, and I was like, I see you got a motorcycle, and I see you got a broad. Which one's the pig? And that really made them mad. But the two top things I guess love is their motorcycle and their woman. So yeah, there were beer bottles being thrown at the cage. It was just ridiculous. After the match, there was this huge floor, and I wanted to go out and do things, and they're like, you really probably need to cover yourself up so no one knows that was you.
Right.
Because you're probably going to get jumped. And so, yeah, that was one of my weird times. And, from there, I had a thirst for knowledge. I think the one thing that I don't think wrestlers always remember is you can never stop learning. You have to continue to learn in the business. Like, whatever you think you know, you don't know. And so, I went to Dory Funk Jr.'s fucking conservatory. Billy Rock had done it, I think, the year after or a year before me. I don't quite recall. But I went down there, and, with the whole gimmick, you go through the school, and then they had agents from WCW at the time and WWF. And kind of like a casting, I guess. And, I was told that I didn't have the size. I needed to be 220 pounds of full muscle because that's how it was back then. I really wish I got into the business right now because it's perfect for little guys. You don't have to be this 6'2" monster of things to put on a good match. And it's a realization I think that they've just got, thanks to Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins and especially Daniel Bryan. Bryan Danielson was one of my favorite athletes when I was working. I was like, wow, this guy, he can wrestle, and he knows to show people how to wrestle. And so, like I said, I went to the Dory Funk School, and this was like in 1999, 2000-ish, and, pretty much got shut down. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to use steroids. And so for me, I was like, well, what do I do? And I had met a guy, James Brown, who was the Bout It Kid in wrestling. They had come to me when I was in high school. It was James Brown, the Bout It Kid, his friend, and another guy who happened to be Jason Ayers, who is a WWE referee now. And they wanted to put on a backyard show. And they wanted to have their friends trained a little bit, so they brought me in. And this was a wooden ring with garden hose ropes, I think. I don't know. It was so backyard. But my job was to make sure that no one died. And that's when I first met Jason Ayers. And, he was .com at the time. He was a wrestler. And, that friendship, he was helping me remix my music, and those guys helped me get my T-shirts out. It was my first merch, guys, and so knowing James Brown, the Bout It Kid, he was going to go to the Marine Corps. And being a punk rock guy like I was, I'm like, F the government. I don't want any piece of that. But I wanted to pick him up from the recruiter one time to take him to a wrestling practice. And the recruiter was there and like, hey, so do you think you can do 20 pull-ups? I was like, I'll try. And so he had a pull-up bar in his office, and I did some pull-ups. And he's like, you should totally be a Marine. You could be paid to work out. You can get on the Marine Corps powerlifting team, which does not exist. But I was due, and I signed up because I wanted to get in the best shape so I could be the best wrestler that I could be. And I went to boot camp, served 4 years in the Marine Corps, to Thailand, Singapore, Australia, Africa. At the time, Afghanistan that happened, and we were medevacing troops, Army guys off the boat next to Africa. And then 2003 happened, and that was 9/11. And I was the first wave to go into Baghdad with my Javelin, which is a big missile that blows up tanks, which also can see key signatures. Like the Predator can see bad guys. So we had this kind of capability, so we got paired with the snipers, and we lived on top of the UN building in downtown Baghdad for about a month, just, securing the area and all that. Shortly after that, I think 2 or 3 months in the country, I got shot by the Iraqi police. I think it's an accident, but I don't know. So I got shot in the legs and still stayed in country, finished my tour, and got out of the Marine Corps and went right back to wrestling. And doing college wrestling at the same time. And, that was when I was like, okay, I'm back. I've learned some things. I thought I was going to be like a beast coming out of the Marine Corps, monster size, but in the best shape of my life. So I went down to Shikara with Mike Quackenbush and did some training down in Shikara, and that stuff's no joke.
Right.
Like, if you want to test your level of cardio and endurance, like, go to a Mike Quackenbush Shikara training, because it was nuts. Like, they had a wrestling ring in the back of a comic book store in Pennsylvania. And that group of guys, Cassius Ono, Chris Hero, as we know, and Tony Cesaro, Claudio Castanelli. And, rest in peace, Larry Sweeney, because he could have been a top dog. And I got to, work with those guys and learn more about the business. Because like I say, came back and started wrestling school in Columbus, Indiana, right behind Family Video, if you are familiar with Columbus.
Oh, yeah.
And Rex himself started Enigma Pro Wrestling. And we brought in, Billy Rock. We gave him the title. I think maybe it was her title. And we put on matches with all kinds of big guys that are famous now. And that was kind of like the thing that I should have done, honestly.
Right.
Because I was trying to promote something when I should have been promoting myself. I really love the aspect of training. My degree is in physical education and health from IEP. So I really enjoyed helping the new kids coming in and that whole training aspect of things. And I think I lost sight of what my main goal was to be more, So, I kind of got this as a franchise, the business, like, people want to steal your stuff out of your building, and people are mad at you because you're running next to their promotion, all this drama that wrestling can be on the screen, So I took a break then, and, the thing about wrestling is you get the itch. And the itch always brings you back in, calls you back in, And so, as far removed as I could be, I still wanted to be doing what I wanted to do. And, I came back in again and went to a school with Nick Densmore that Billy Rock had put on with Eugene Nick Densmore. And I learned a lot from this guy. He's like, whoever you are in life, take that and turn it up. Just turn it up. And for me, I was a Marine Corps veteran, battle. I was like, why am I being that guy? Because, I was a punk rock guy, and I was just, a guy coming out with a robe, after, and then like, this makes sense. Dial it in. Like, BU, big, but BBU, like, huge, you know? And I took that and ran with it. That's when I, like, really came out with, like, the Marine Corps war gimmick, you know? And it worked both face and heel because, you know, obviously with face, you're coming out, you're saluting the flag. You know, New Era down in Shelbyville, you know, they had me do the flag ceremony, like actually bring the flag out and salute in the colors. But when I went other places, you know, like Illinois and Kentucky, I was a heel. And I was at, I can't remember the promotion's name, but it was in Illinois and DFW. And I was supposed to be a bad guy, even though that, like, I was All-American with my gimmick. So I'm like, what the heck am I going to do, you know? And I go out there and I salute and start talking crap, and this old woman stands up, and she's like, and I'm saying to them, I was like, get on your feet right now for a real American hero. You better stand up and salute me. And this woman stood up, saluted me with a middle finger salute. Like, stone cold middle finger salute, and said, fuck you. And I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. This old lady is so mad at me and gives me a middle finger salute. And so when I would be with my Brad Lamen gimmick, I would salute them with a finger and require the same from them. So I was actually, we did a match in Harrigan, Indiana. It was me versus Ace Perry.
Okay.
And Ace Perry is one of my favorite new wrestlers. Like, this guy is going to be big. Like, Ace Perry and Jonathan Wolf, for my name, like, it's just a matter of time.
Right.
And so I was in there with Ace, and I was doing my gimmick, you know, just feeling out. And the thing was, it was like a street festival they have, and they all have golf carts, which is like their thing, I guess. And the ring was set out in front of a grocery store. So our locker room was the stock room behind the milk coolers. So we had to, you know, we were queued to start wrestling. You know, we'd have to walk all the way through the grocery store to get out to where the ring entrance started. So after the match, and all these kids are mad, you know, I broke their feelings, hurt their hearts. They're chasing me, throwing cans of Coke at me through the grocery store. And it was just silly. Like, they're just following me all the way to the back, just taking the items shelf of the grocery store and hurling them at me. So, fun match, you know.
Right.
And I kind of developed the character a little bit better, so I knew who I was going to be as a face or heel, you know.
Good Lord. That's hilarious, though. That just makes me think of, like, the old days where everyone didn't know that, like, the veil of, like, kayfabe hadn't been lifted, and, you know, people would literally, like, try and kill wrestlers because they're like, that's just absolutely fantastic.
Exactly.
I mean, it sucks that you were getting stuff thrown at you.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, these are little kids, and they're on a mission to mess my life up, you know? Like, from bikers to little kids, I think the little kids are more terrifying, honestly, because, you know, if a biker punches you in the face, you can punch them back. But little kids, like, hit you with a soda bottle, like, you're in a powder.
Right.
Powder's fast.
Right. You're going to take it, and you're just going to have to like it.
Yeah, like, wow, that just happened.
Wow. So that was like, because like you honestly, like, I had like a string of questions set up during that entire thing in there. You pretty much answered all of them.
Yeah.
But here's the thing too, is like I kind of want to, I guess, throw like a real quick, just little, I guess, question out there. So, you know, we were talking a little bit about how, you know, you went to the military. You know, you served your, which, by the way, thank you for your service. And
It's an honor.
You know, and then you came back and you jumped right back into wrestling, and you know that was I'm sure that was a little bit of a transition to kind of do, but you know it's weird because I guess random fun fact memory, I remember seeing you wrestle. God, this is years ago. Back at it was Midwest Regional Wrestling. Yeah, Midwest Regional Wrestling, MRW, and it was like in Norton in a church, I think. And I think it was right before you'd actually left, I think. But that was actually a promotion that Dave Dynasty ran. So
Exactly.
I kind of wanted to ask, did you have any memories about MRW? Any memories about that promotion?
Yeah. I know I'd wrestled Sean Cook.
Yep.
With them, and always a great man. He's one of the best workers. I think that I don't know if he's been given the proper credit that he needs. And then I know there was something with JT Brano, I feel like, and Cameron R going on there. I can't remember exactly the setup. That's one of the things is like I've had so many matches and I suck at life because not all of them have been recorded or at least posted. You know, if you go to YouTube, Brad Lamen, there's only 14 things, and it's like, man, I suck because you always want to get your stuff out there, and the worst about it. And yeah, I really enjoyed working with your dad's promotion. It was always a good time, and I feel like the crowds enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I have very few memories, like, of when I was very young, because I have a horrible memory. But like, I distinctly remember, now that you mention Cameron Starr, Jake Brandon, I distinctly remember, like, they had, like, a kind of, like, a stable type thing, and it was, like, 3 of them, I thought. But yeah, that's fantastic, because I was trying to remember, and I think somewhere Dave, I think, still has, like, a DVD, and I think the match with you and Sean Cook is on it, if I'm not mistaken. So I need to talk to him and try to get him to, like, upload that or something like that, and I'll have him be like, send that to you on Facebook or something. But
yeah, I feel like maybe it's up there on the Brad Lamen YouTube, but maybe it isn't.
right.
I first met Sean Cook with the promotion that was running in Columbus. It was a guy named Bobby. He put on this huge show that had, like, I was wrestling Shark Boy at the time and other people. It was like a 6-on-6 match, I think, or something, and that's where I'd met John originally. And, it's just, good times. I remember Jim Cornette and Martel showing up at the show and, like, them arguing about something, money or whatever. And Mick Foley was there, and he did the whole, like, try to fix it thing in the ring. And, yeah, it was a very interesting show to be mentioned because everybody in the locker room was like, what's going on? Right. Jim Cornette and Sherry Martell's here, and it's not going on. They're screaming. You could, like, Wesley.
Honestly, because, like, Jim Cornette has a podcast now. I'm sure. I wonder if he's talked about that before. I'm probably have to, like, have him send, like, a question or something like that. Be like, do you remember this? Because I want to hear this story now.
There's a great chance. I mean, because it was I don't think they're getting paid they're supposed to or something, and it was just crazy. And Mick, being as awesome as he is, like, came out to the crowd, placating them, trying to smooth it all over, but it was silly.
Oh gosh. So I feel like we've talked about a wide variety of things. We talked about some of the places you like to work, some of the people you like to work. You mentioned some names. Also, you said Shark Boy, and I remember Shark Boy pretty vividly, actually. He had wrestled at HPW a couple times when I was younger. I remember I went to a couple of those shows. But and about your career, how you started, got with your training, and then you went to the military. You came back, and you told us some of your fond memories about wrestling, but. And then you actively are still in the ring now, aren't you? Or have you taken kind of a break from that?
Well, what happened is I felt like everything was dialed in 4 years ago.
Okay.
I had won the Martin Invitational with New Era. I was in multiple places and spots, and I really felt like it was all dialing in. You know, like Drew Skills was one of the main guys. When I first came back, he was like, "Hey man, come to WCWO. We're doing training. Let's get you back up into endurance." And he kind of took me under his wing, and you know, we learned a lot with each other. Like, we had a couple of matches together, and then Heroes and Legends kicked off, and I was in a couple of matches with the Heroes and Legends, getting to wrestle, Congo in a battle royal. And so it's all about who you know and what you do. And they're the ones who actually, like, had helped me get back into whatever it was, like round 3 or round 4 of Brad Lamen's comeback tour, and I really felt like I was on my way, and a blessed thing happened. More for the time, she got pregnant, and my son, Ronan Charles Xavier Sizemore, was born. And of course, hold your applause. It's an awesome name. I know. Right. Ronan Charles Xavier Sizemore. What a great name. And so when he was born, I didn't want to be away.
Right.
You hear all these stories about wrestlers not seeing their kids grow up. And for me, like, not having a dad growing up, I was like, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to just stop what I'm doing and be his champion. So I had one of my last matches with New Era and lost the title to Rob Raymer, which is completely great full circle, because he was one of the guys that was in my flock or faction when I began. And so he became the champion, and I became the dad. And so that's kind of where I've been for the last 4 years. I started working down at Camp Atterbury 2 years ago, which is super cool, because now I'm working for the Department of Logistics, and I'm helping military people get what they need to do what they need. So it's all kind of full circle happening, and I always get the bug, but the thing that I have in my head is I'm not going to ever do something worse than I've already done it. I'm going to, if I ever back to wrestling, which is a great good chance, I want to be as good as I was, or better.
Right.
And, I have a 13-year-old daughter, not by blood, but she is very interested in wrestling. She's on the ring crew already, and might be being trained to be a referee soon. And it's just, she's really into the business, and I'm going to be one of those 45-year-old guys, I guess, clinging on to a dream. Maybe. I don't know. I just know that, like, because my daughter didn't give a crap about wrestling, except that she liked me, and she did drawings with me with wrestling, but, like, it wasn't something that, like, the family wanted to go and do all the time, because I was going everywhere, and so now, like, us being split apart, because I'm not with Tom Moore, and they're all into the wrestling, it's like, well, I guess Brad's going to have to come back.
Right.
Because my son's 4 now, and it's something that he can remember. And if I can, push my daughter Rory in the business with the people who might know me or all that, like, why not,
Right.
So,
hopefully,
the legacy.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully we'll see that. We'll hopefully then have to be able to wait for that comeback then. So, I guess teaser, little teaser trailer here. Brad Lamen comeback.
Yeah.
So then I guess that kind of leads to the next question: is you've actually talked about it, and and we've talked about it. I've talked about it with other people too. Is you have that itch to come back. And you said if you came back, you want to come back better than ever. So that makes me think that you have a strategy. You have a comeback plan of some sort. So we'll probably have to catch up with you here in a year or so, and check on that plan. But I guess kind of to wind down the interview is, do you have like a social media, for instance, for fans to follow you still? I know you said that you kind of stepped out of the ring a couple of years ago, but do you still have a social media for fans to follow you and see what you're doing now, or keep up on the comeback of Brad Lamen?
Yeah, on YouTube it's Brad Lamen. Just type it in, BRADLAMEN.
Right.
And I spelled that out only because when I first started in wrestling, LAMEN, Lamen. It's the most easy 5-letter words, and it's like LAYMAN, LAYMEN, LEH. And it's like, how can you butcher? It's just so simple. Like, I thought, so like, for up-and-coming wrestlers, maybe just be like Tom, something really easy for these guys to put on flyers. Because I still have flyers up to this day that I look at, I'm like, how the crap did they not know? It's just Brad Lamen. It's just, anyway. So on YouTube, Brad Lamen, Facebook, Brad Lamen, it still exists. I don't go to it a lot because I have my personal Facebook, but you can always be in touch with me there. And I have Snapchat, but it's not public. So if you guys send me a request, I'll add you if I like you. If I know you, I'm going to add you. No punches pulled. And my Snapchat is Charlie Social. CharlieSocial.
There you go. You got all those social medias, and if he doesn't like you, you ain't getting added.
Yeah, because it's just it's my private Snapchat.
Right.
For who I am, I'm Charlie, but I'm Brad, and Lamen, LAMEN. Gosh,
Right.
for the poster.
See, it's funny because you mentioned the private thing, and like, you wouldn't think of it. Like, sometimes people add me on Facebook, like, I have no idea. I'm assuming that they listen to the show, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not just gonna add random people on like my Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, you gotta separate it, because like we're saying, like, there's so many, and there's bots that will just ask to add you and things like that. And it's like, so you gotta separate work and business with it like that, especially for my case where I'm not really into it, but still love it, and there will be a time where I'll be back.
Right. So then. ... Right. To be continued. Like I said, we're definitely gonna have to keep up, because if that comeback does come back, or does that make sense? If there is a comeback, yeah, if it does come back, then we got to have you back on, because then it's like we had you before your comeback, and then we had you after. So.
For sure.
Well, I just want to thank you, for taking some time on a Sunday afternoon to chat with us just about your career, and then give us a little teaser for maybe, possibly, potentially one day in the future a comeback. So that's something for us to hold on to. But no, I really want to thank you for giving us the time today to talk to you and just pick your brain a little bit, get some information from you. It's been a legitimate honor and pleasure. Like I said, I watched you wrestle way a long time ago, so when Dave sent me the message, I'm like, oh, I know that guy. So that was awesome. So I do appreciate taking the time to talk to us.
Hey, it's a pleasure, and I appreciate you guys reaching out to me. I was like, what? It's a segment of whatever happened to that guy? I was like, well, at least you remembered me enough to put me in a segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of you jabronis, it's Sean and Dave here.
Did you grow up on WWE and refuse to grow out of it? We have the show for you. Eat, Sleep, Podcast, Repeat.
Courtesy of FM99 WNOR, we are a weekly wrestling podcast.
Join us as we go over WWE news, programming, superstar interviews, and discuss topics and questions from you, the listener.
Including some really god-awful celebrity impressions.
Not that bad.
They're really bad, Dave. Find us on FM99.com under the media tab and major podcast apps, including iTunes and SoundCloud. Just search ESPR.
And there you have it, a great interview with high flyer Tyler Robinson. And whatever happened to with Brad Lamen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dave Dynasty Show. We appreciate your support each and every week. And remember, the best way to support us is to go to ProWrestlingTees.com, buy a shirt, including the new Dr. Jerry Graham Jr. shirts. You can also get a Dave Dynasty Show logo shirt, a Midwest Express logo shirt. That is probably the best way to support us. Go buy a shirt and then wear it out in public, right? Give us that word of mouth support. Help spread the word. However you listen to us, whatever platform it may be, and we're pretty much available on all podcast platforms. Every week I do that. Lord have mercy. I think it's just an ongoing joke now, right? It's just karma, just kicking me in the rear. We are available on pretty much every podcast platform. And however you do, please like, share, subscribe, comment, do all those things. Because again, that is the greatest way for us to grow and gain more listeners, is for you guys to tell your friends. And please tell your friends, right? And please continue to listen. We have so many amazing things coming up on the show. And I'm just not hyping and tooting my own horn here. I'm legit telling you some great things. Next week, we have a good episode. Okay, hold on. Let me back up. Coming up this week, we'll have another episode, a bonus episode. We are going to have, on June 27th, we're releasing a special Dick the Bruiser birthday tribute. That is would be Dick the Bruiser's birthday. We're going to release a little episode. We're going to have some guys on telling some Bruiser memories. We're going to have some audio for Bruiser. Going to be a cool thing. Just a little special episode. Paid tribute to Dick the Bruiser, who we all love, right? Dick the Bruiser was great. Then the episode after that, our next regular episode, we have special guest, Sexy Sean Casey, who will be on to talk. He'll drop the hint. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but what does Sean Casey have in common with Shawn Michaels? There's a very, very, very prominent thing that they have in common. We'll talk about that with Sean. And also, whatever happened with an old buddy of mine, Dude Kind. Y'all remember Dude Kind? If you're from Central Indiana, you got to remember Dude Kind. He'll be on the show. That was coming up. But after, we have some really huge Midwest legendary guests lined up for the show. I mean, these are unbelievable guys. These are guys that do not make podcast appearances. I'm telling you, we're bringing you some guys who you've never heard on other podcasts. You're going to want to hear. It is going to be spectacular. I'm not going to name drop yet because, hey, let's just build the tension, right? We're telling a story here. But these guys, you're going to want to hear. We are fast approaching our 100th episode. We're going to do some special things for that episode, but that includes in this great build, like I said, some great, great guests. So continue to listen, continue to tune in every episode, continue to tell your friends, help us to grow. We do appreciate that. If you want to make a financial contribution to the show, you can go to paypal.me/TheDaveDynasty. And you can make a one-time contribution there to the show, or you can go to patreon.me/TheDaveDynasty. It can make an ongoing monthly contribution. We do appreciate that. It helps cover our costs, keeps us for free, keeps our shows free. I'm just stumbling over words left and right. It's a good thing this episode is winding down because I don't know how much I'm just getting all tongue-tied here. We appreciate that. It helps keep the show free, helps us do what we do for you, and we do hope you enjoy. We get lots of great feedback. Continue to do that. You can go to DaveDynasty.com for all of our social media links. We are on all platforms. And shoot us a message. Post on our walls. Tweet us, etc., etc. We love hearing from you guys. Give us some topics to discuss. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us who we should be interviewing. Just remember, in everything you do, just keep it Midwest Professional Wrestling centered. But we do appreciate you guys, and hope that we're help keeping Midwest Professional Wrestling history alive, and help promoting current Midwest Professional Wrestling, because that's what we try to do here on the show. We try to do it in a positive light. And we try to do it for you guys. And we do it for free. So help support us. Give us a little love. But we do appreciate that. And that's all we got for this week. So remember, next week we have Sean Casey. We have Dude Kind. We have the birthday Dick the Bruiser episode coming up later this week. Gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. Tell all your friends, boys and girls. And whatever you do out there in life, always remember, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.